Want to welcome you guys to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. My name is Jerry Shockey. I oversee all the educational programs here, and we want to thank you for tuning in here today for our Heart of the Hall of Famers series. It's one that we started back in almost a year ago now, and we've had some fantastic Hall of Famers over this time. But what I want to share with you guys real quick is really the intent of the program, Heart of a Hall of Famer. One thing that can be said about our Hall of Famers that if their God-given ability wasn't in pro football, that they would have gone on to be the very best in something else, whether it was being a carpenter, a plumber, a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, whatever it might have been. Because at the core of who they are is those character qualities and those 6 pillars that you all have been studying, the dedication and the 6 different pillars: trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, caring, and citizenship. And because that's really what's at the core of them. And many of them have gone on to wonderful careers afterwards, like the gentleman that you have here before you today, and Hall of Famer Floyd, and I'll share a little bit more about that here in just a moment. But a program like this wouldn't be possible without great help out there, and there's a few folks that we'd like to thank before we get started into the introductions of our Hall of Famer Floyd Little. First of all, we'd like to say thank you to Seattle Public Schools, the administration there, for hosting Floyd Little, so all the other schools could see and interact with him, as well as our friends at Rainier Beach High School there in Seattle that actually have him at their facility. And not only is he connecting all across the country, but he also took some time in between this program to talk with, I think, a couple hundred students in their auditorium there as well. So we appreciate you guys opening your doors and allowing Floyd Little to come to your school and do these broadcasts. We'd also like to thank our friends at Tamberg, who's now part of Cisco. They actually brought some systems into the school at 3 different rooms and set those up. So without their help today, today's program wouldn't have been possible. And also our folks at eTech Ohio, Derek and Aaron and all those wonderful folks down there. Many of the schools know who they are because they're the ones that get us all connected here today, and they're a wonderful asset for us content providers in Ohio as well as the schools. So I want to thank you guys for that. We'd also like to thank the teachers and tech coordinators and the schools for being here. I know many of you we've been impacted by the weather. We actually had about 6 or 7 schools cancel out in the past 24 hours because of all the weather. From Wisconsin, a teacher told me that they had negative 25 degrees in their area of Wisconsin. A couple schools got a lot of snow. So we appreciate you guys and your teachers taking the time to make this possible. With them, it wouldn't be possible. And lastly, the students. I know you guys are all well prepared, have done the research behind the scenes for this on the pillars, and have some great questions. So this program definitely wouldn't be possible without you guys. So we'd like to thank you guys for that. But I would like to recognize each of the individual schools if we could. And when I do so, we'll ask everyone to keep their mics muted. But when I do so, you can feel free to unmute your mic and give a shout or show some school spirit, whatever it might be. So let's go to Canyon High School, Spring Branch, Texas. Are you there? Okay. Your students haven't got in there yet. I know they're coming shortly, so I'm sure they're
on their way. Yeah.
They're coming in. Okay. Tell them to cheer real quick. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Go ahead and mute your mics there at Canyon. If we can go to Alvarado, Texas. Alvarado High School.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Go Indians. Go Indians.
That was pretty weak, Alvarado. Should we try it again?
Go Indians.
All right, there we go. Thank you, Alvarado. And you guys can go ahead and mute your mics. If we can go to Castleberry and Fort Worth.
Yeah, that's us.
Okay. Thank you, Castleberry. And real quick, they're a review-only group, but let's give a shout-out to Secondary School in Flatonia, Texas. This is the Texas broadcast here. Oh, okay. All right. Maybe they got a little nervous there in Flatonia. Let's go to Virginia, Spotsylvania, Virginia, Nye River.
Let's go.
Yep.
Well, I guess we saved the best for last. That was awesome. Thank you, Nye River. We appreciate you guys connecting with us here today. But I want to take this opportunity now, first of all, to remind everyone to keep your mics muted throughout the broadcast. We'll call upon you when it's time to unmute your mic and ask your questions. But I'd like to give you a little introduction into our guest speaker here today. And again, his name is Floyd Little. Floyd hails from New Haven, Connecticut. And from birth, second best was a condition he was not comfortable with, armed with sincerity, honesty, and go back to those pillars that we've been talking about, and you hear kind of his personal mission statement here. Armed with sincerity, honesty, and the 5 basic ingredients for success: drive, determination, dedication, commitment, and sacrifice. Floyd set out on a path less traveled, and I'm sure he'll talk about a little bit more about that less traveled path in his comments. Little was drafted in 1967 by the Denver Broncos, where he toiled for 9 rugged years as the leading rusher. He led as the team's career rusher with 6,323 yards and 1,641 attempts, and scored a total of 43 touchdowns throughout his career. Little was recognized as a 3-time All-American player, not even an honor at Syracuse that the great Jim Brown or Ernie Davis were even honored, 3-time All-American, and twice won the American football rushing title. Little's legendary number 44 was retired both at the Syracuse University, and at the Denver Broncos. And in 2010, the pinnacle achievement for any individual player was bestowed upon Floyd Little, being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. In his later years of professional football, his pursuit of excellence continued. He graduated from the University of Denver College of Law in 1975, and upon the retirement from the Broncos in 1976, he could be seen on NBC Sports as a TV commentator. Currently residing in the state of Washington, he is the former president and owner of Pacific Coast Ford, which has become a private capital dealership. He was known as one of the most successful and well-respected Ford dealers in the industry. Ford Motor Company solicited his assistance, recognized his abilities, and solicited his assistant as a consultant and an instructor for its minority dealers program dealer development area. He has assisted numerous dealers nationwide, including the training and installation of the first African-American female dealer in Taft, California. Floyd retired as a proud Ford dealer in December of 2009, so I don't think he's really retired too much. He still stays pretty active, but his retirement was in 2009, and at the time was the oldest tenured minority dealer in the Ford portfolio. Not only we shared about his football career, we shared about his after football career, but he's had a lot of awards and honors bestowed upon him, including the YMCA Brian Piccolo Award, which is a distinguished award, American Award for Community Service, presented by the Connecticut Hall of Fame, and the American Jewish Community Appeal for Human Relations Citation in recognition, and I think this is important to note because I think it kind of summarizes, especially in what he shared last time, kind of summarizes if Mr. Little had a personal mission statement, it'd be his recognition of the outstanding contributions Little made towards the betterment of man in his community. Today, Floyd is traveling the country as a popular and sought-after speaker for touchdown properties as well as the National Football League, and obviously with the Pro Football Hall of Fame as he is here today. In his spare time, he actively participates in and supports numerous charitable events around the country. In addition to all his attributes, Floyd is a family man. He's married. He was married in 2003 to Syracuse native Deborah. He has 2 daughters, Christy and Kyra, a son, Mark, as well as 4 grandchildren, AJ, Sky, Blaze, and Hayes. And I thought before we ask Mr. Little for his opening remarks, we'd share with you guys a little bit from his playing career, if you will.
It could be argued that without Floyd Little, there would be no Denver Broncos. In 1967, Little became the first #1 pick to ever sign with Denver, and his success and popularity sparked interest in the team.
Lost audio. Is it just on our end?
Okay, if all the schools can unmute your mics for a second and join me in welcoming Pro Football Hall of Famer Floyd Little.
Thank you.
Mr. Little, the mic is yours.
All right, thanks, Jerry. It's an honor for me, as you know. I mentioned earlier that to be a part of the Heart of Hall of Famer series that the National Football League and Pro Football Hall of Fame sponsors. I mean, this is great for me. I mean, I like to have the opportunity to share my journey as a person and as an athlete all the time. So this just gives me the forum to do that. I know everybody out there wants to win, everybody out there wants to succeed, everybody out there wants to be successful. But I just want you to know that success and winning doesn't happen on its own. I mean, if you want to be successful, there's an investment you have to make. There's a price that you'd have to pay. Because if you want to be the best, you got to hang out with the best. If you want to be a better student, get better grades, you got to hang out with students who are smarter than you are. If you want to be a better athlete, you got to hang out with athletes that's got better skills than you have. I've noticed that smart people surround themselves with people who are smarter than they are, and they learn from them. As a student athlete, former student athlete, and a professional football player, I have competed at the highest levels of success in the National Football League. And I knew it took great courage, a positive attitude, and a commitment to win. And throughout my travels, Jerry, one thing I found that knowledge through education is an ongoing process that never ends. What you actually achieve in life is directly related to what you have in your mind. So today I want to encourage everybody to keep learning, keep studying, and keep challenging themselves, because none of us will ever know what we can become if we never challenge ourselves. If I didn't challenge myself, I would have never played basketball, baseball, or ran track. If I didn't challenge myself, I wouldn't be here as the 257th Pro Football Hall of Famer in pro football history, if I didn't challenge myself. If I listened to those who said I wasn't big enough, strong enough, or fast enough, I would have never got a chance to play in the National Football League. So today I want to talk a little bit about that and talk about a little bit about the character traits that you are required to succeed and go to the highest level that you can and to be the best that you can be. There's a lot of investment that you have to make in yourself and believing in yourself, but to do the right things and maybe take the road that is less traveled and be something, be a leader, not a follower. So those are the kinds of things, Jerry, that I hope that I can impart today to all of the people that are out there listening, that if you want to really, really do something and be the best that you can be, just allow yourself not to be distracted, not to let people with negative energy influence you, not to be influenced by those that will lead you in the wrong direction. So hopefully today that maybe some of the questions that I can answer, that I can elaborate on, would give you an opportunity of how I got to where I am and why I'm one of the hearts of this series of Pro Football Hall of Fame, because I understand that the pillars of character that's allowed me to be here.
Well, thank you, Mr. Little. And let me just share with you guys a little bit of the program format. Many of you know this is going to be a moderated roundtable, and we're going to go to each of the schools to ask questions or have them ask questions of Mr. Little. We're going to work in the order, so start thinking about your questions. We're going to work in the order of Canyon High School, Alvarado High School, Castleberry High School, Nye River Middle School, and my apologies because I forgot to introduce one of the schools at the beginning and have them cheer. How do I forget the host of this program? I know there's a classroom right down from Mr. Little, Rainier Beach High School. So first of all, Rainier Beach, if you want to unmute your mics and you want to give a little shout out there.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah. My apologies. How dare I forget you guys there in Rainier Beach. But as you guys are all thinking of your questions, one thing I encourage you guys to do, think about this. You guys are talking to one of the greatest players that has ever played in the National Football League. When you think about some of the greats today, the great running backs, let's say, the Adrian Petersons, the Chris Johnsons, the LaDainian Tomlinsons, they hope to be in Floyd Little's shoes someday and be enshrined into the greatest achievement that you can get as a player, being enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So you guys have the chance to ask very thought-provoking questions of what barriers, what obstacles, what do you prioritize in life?
Connecting you to your destination.
That you guys would like to share or ask of them, you can do that. I think we have somebody getting connected here. Rainier Beach, I think that's you guys. That's guest room 10. That's the room that you guys are in.
It's trying to call into the bridge.
Sorry, we could not connect your call.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go to Canyon Lake. I apologize for the distraction there. Let's go to Canyon High School. I threw in the lake there again. Canyon High School, Spring Branch, Texas. If you guys have a question, go ahead. 2 questions.
Okay, I have a question for Mr. Little. First of all, your Hall of Fame speech was one of the most motivating speeches that I ever got a chance to hear. And my question to you is, how, did it feel to finally get into the Hall of Fame? I know you were waiting a lot of years, and there were a lot of supporters. My dad being one of them, because I'm actually a coach here at Canyon, and one of your biggest fans. I want to know how you really felt.
Well, that's a good question. Thank you so much. I appreciate you hearing the speech and understood the passion that I delivered the speech, because it was about the long journey that it took to get there. It's been great. It's been a great ride for me. Being a Hall of Famer, of which I'm number 257. I've waited a long time, as you mentioned. But this is an opportunity for me now to talk about that experience. It's an experience of a lifetime. I don't think that I can ever duplicate that kind of experience in my life. But I was thrilled to be a part of this class, the greatest class in pro football history, Pro Football Hall of Fame history. I mean, when you go in the Hall of Fame with people like Emmitt Smith and Jerry Rice and John Randall and Dick LeBeau and Ricky Jackson and Russ Grimm, it's a different class than they've ever had. So me being a part of the best class in Pro Football Hall of Fame history is really speaks to me being timely enough to go in on the 44th Super Bowl. I wore the number 44. My son was 44, took 44 voters, and we have a 44th president. So it was my time to go in. It would be no better time for me to go in but this time. And thanks for the question.
Okay, thank you, Canyon. Go ahead with another one.
Mr. Little, hi. Karen Warren, I'm the faculty teacher here. Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear?
Yeah. Oh, anyway, I was just going to ask you, I have a son who plays football, and we just happened last night to have a very heated discussion about football and academics. And many times my son will ask, why does he have to learn something? He's never going to use it. He's very motivated in football. Any suggestions on how to motivate students to be more academic?
Well, I think, like I said, as a student athlete and professional football player who competed at the highest level, it took great courage and a positive attitude, not only as a football player, but in the classrooms as well. I mean, one thing that you have to understand, or he needs to understand, is everybody don't make it on the next level. Sometimes we don't, we get injured and we can't play anymore. And if you're putting all your eggs in one basket, that's the wrong thing to do. There's a lot of guys who would like to play but can't and don't, because the competition is pretty stiff. When I look at all the players in the National Football League over the years, there ain't that many of us. So there's only 160 Hall of Famers left. And this game has been on for a long, long time. And there's only been 260 in its history. So a lot of people want to get there, but you got to have second options. You got to have options. This ain't the only thing that should be a part of your life. Education is an ongoing process that never ends. What you achieve in life is directly related to what you have in your mind. So you have to study, keep learning, and keep challenging yourself and have options. Because if you don't make it in football, you're going to have a long life of having to make a living for yourself. So you better be prepared not to play football for the rest of your life, because it's a privilege to play the game. And those of us that's had the opportunity to play it, we will tell you it's a very short life as a football player. I just happened to play 9 seasons, but my life expectancy was only 2.5 years. So you tell your son it's more important to be a better student than a great athlete.
I'll tell him you said something.
Thank you.
And Mr. Little, he hit the nail on the head. If you guys didn't know, the average NFL career is only about 3.5 years. So you see the Brett Favres and the Peyton Mannings and Tom Brady's that have been in there for a number of years. But she talked about studying. Do NFL athletes, don't they have to study as well? Maybe they see the glory part of them being on the field. There's a lot of study and preparation behind the scenes that goes along with that responsibility pillar.
Well, you can't get into college unless you have a great SAT score. There's certain requirements now in order to get into college. In order to play football, you have to have a certain grade point average in order to play football. You just can't come in there and play football and don't study. I mean, that's a part of the deal. Most colleges are more academic oriented than they are sports oriented. So they don't want a player that just wants to play football. They want a player that will be a great student and be a great success in life as a person after football, not just football. So your son should have the understanding of being a great athlete is great if you can, but being a great student is equally as challenging and good.
Okay, thank you, Canyon. Let's go to Alvarado.
This is for Mr. Little. I'm Wayne Underdog. I play running back. But I know there are a lot of tremendous athletes out there in the world that play ball. And I just wanted to ask you, what do you think separates a good athlete from a great one?
That's a good question. I think willing to do that little extra. I mean, the only thing that separates a superstar and a great athlete, you can't even measure it with a micrometer. A micrometer is one of those things that you can measure the thickness of a hair. And if you want to separate yourself, you do those little extra things. I was the first one on the field and the last one off the field. I did 10 extra push-ups a day. I did extra 100-yard dash a day. I mean, just willing to do that little extra will set you apart from those athletes that are great and those athletes are just good. So if you want to be a great athlete, you want to be you would just do the extra things that will help you become more successful at what you do. That's all it is. You can't measure it. It's just that little extra. You have to be willing to be the first one out there and the last one off the field. If you're willing to do that, it will launch you light years ahead of your competition. But you got to be willing to do that.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And you'll hear that extra hair or that extra bit. It's all character related. It's all character related. And by the way, he talked about his 100-meter. He ran that 100-meter in about 4.4 seconds back in your day.
No, that was a 40-yard dash. I ran 100
I'm
meters.
sorry, 40-yard dash. I'm sorry, 40-yard dash. If you ran the 100 meters, then
I ran the 100 meters. I mean, it was a 100-yard dash in my day, but I ran a 9.6. But it was only 100 yards. It wasn't 110 yards. So
yeah,
I ran 100 yards in 9.6 seconds back in the day.
And go ahead, Alvarado, with your next one.
My name is Alex Gentry. I play inside linebacker. My question is, what do you feel is the most important thing you gain from being athletic?
I think one of the most important things as an athlete is understanding your purpose, your role, and that's a part of the 6 pillars of character, integrity. I mean, being an athlete is great, but a team is what you are a part of, and there's no person or individual bigger than the team. So as Webster describes team, is 2 or more animals pulling something in the same direction. If you are not a part of that team and you pulling in different directions, you're not going anywhere. So one of the qualities that you as an athlete can do is be a part of the team and never let your goals become greater than the team's goal. Because when the team wins, everybody wins. When an individual wins, an individual wins. So just being a great team player, being a role model, being an asset to your team, being a mentor to your team, being a leader of your team is more important than anything else.
Okay, thank you, Alvarado. Let's go to Castleberry. You got a couple questions there, Castleberry?
Yes. You want Sam?
Please.
Was it stressful or hard on you or your family when you were gone to football games?
I didn't hear the question.
Was it stressful or hard on you or your family when you were gone to football games?
Was it stressful? No, my family didn't recognize the stress that I was dealing with. It's difficult as a family man and going away, but you know, as a professional football player, you only go away for a day or two. It's the training camp that becomes stressful because you're going away for a couple of weeks. But you know, they're able to deal with it. They're able to have opportunities to do other things, and they're able to come and visit from time to time. But I don't think it was stressful for me being away from the family. It was good for both of us to be away from each other for a while. But no, that's a part of the deal. As a baseball player or a basketball player, it's different. But as a football player, we wasn't gone that much. And when we were gone, our families had a chance to visit us because we wasn't gone too far. But no, it wasn't stressful for me. It was good for me having a chance to have some time away and gather myself and not have the responsibility to think about the family for a minute. So it wasn't stressful for me.
Okay.
Go ahead with the second there, Castleberry.
Were Jim Brown and Ernie Davis your role models, and if so, why?
Well, Jim. Well, everybody wanted to be Jim Brown, and Ernie. Yeah, Ernie and Jim were they were role models for me, exactly. But the guys was my role model, and you wouldn't believe this, was guys like Sugar Ray Leonard, Michael Jordan. Jim Brown was a role model as well. John Elway, because of the character that they had, because of their perseverance, because they never said die. They had the heart of a champion, and all of those qualities that help people become successful. They had them. They had these qualities that allow them to go out and perform, even when they didn't think that they would win. They will continue to pursue whatever they needed to pursue, and at the end of the day, they became victorious. It's just like Vince Lombardi said, winning is not a sometimes thing, it's an all the times thing. You don't do things right just once in a while, you don't win just once in a while. Winning is a habit. Unfortunately, so is losing. So people, that's what my role model that I aspired to be like, were those people that had the heart of a champion, with this whole series about the heart of a Hall of Famer. It's certain character that you have within you that allows you to exceed the level of expectations of not only yourself, but others. So Jim Brown was a role model, Ernie Davis was a role model, Michael Jordan was one of my role models, Sugar Ray Leonard was one of my role models, and the great basketball player from the Boston Celtics, Bill Russell, was one of my role models. Thanks for the question.
Great question. Let's go to Virginia, Nye River.
What advice can you give someone who would like to become a professional athlete?
What advice can I give a person? I tell you what, it's having a commitment to win. I think it's just that if this is what you want, if this is the path that you want to travel, then you got to be willing to take the road that is less traveled. You got to be willing to become a leader. You got to be willing to be honest, be responsible, be respectful, and do all of those things that are necessary for you to be the best that you can be. And never say never. Never give up. It's a commitment to win on a regular basis. It's constantly surrounding yourself with people that are better than you, better athletes, better students, and people that are positive, people that are influential, people that have a positive attitude. So all of the things that if you want to become a professional athlete, you have to have the character, you have to have the discipline, you have to have the skill levels, you have to have the ability, and if you want to be the best, you got to hang out with the best, and learn from them. Good, strong athletes and good, strong people surround themselves with people who are smarter than they are and have better skills than they are. And if you want to be a good athlete, if you want to start today, you start developing those character traits that you would need that will take you beyond? That's a good question.
You have another one, Nye River?
Yes. Hi, Mr. Little. My name is Zachary Sims, and I was just wondering, what's the hardest thing about playing in the NFL?
Hey, Zachary. I think some of the hard things is preparing yourself for the physical part of it. I mean, playing was great, but I think just being conditioned, I think people don't want to train. I think one of the things that helped me become a pretty good player is because I was willing to do the work. I was willing to make the investment. I was willing to train on a regular basis. I was willing to have my workout regimen like Jerry Rice, the running, the conditioning, always being ready to play, never taking a day off. I think that was the most challenging thing, is to commit every day to doing a regimen that nobody was willing to commit to do. One of the things I used to do was run the south stands at Mile High Stadium, and they had 112 steps, 56 seats, and I used to run those stairs every day with combat boots 20 times a day, which was the hardest thing I've ever done. But that's what it takes. It takes a commitment to win, to elevate yourself so you can be the best that you can be. That's a good question. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to the school in Washington, Seattle, that I forgot the last time, right down the hallway from Mr. Little. Rainier Beach, go ahead with your questions.
Which rookie do you see yourself most in?
Which rookie?
Yes.
Do I see myself? I think, Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow is the player that most represents me as a leader, a guy who's been a national champion, a guy that's been a Heisman Trophy winner, a guy that got great character. He's responsible, he's respectful, he's loyal, he's honest. I mean, all of the character traits that you look for in a person, I think I had all of those traits. So when I look at a player today that's a rookie, I see me more in a Tim Tebow, who was a natural leader. I mean, when I saw him play this year, and he beat the Texans and the games that he played in, they rallied around him. I would not be surprised if he was not the captain next year, because he has all of the tools and all of the traits of a person with great character.
And I think a lot of folks across the country would probably agree with Mr. Little's sentiments. I was just talking with our VP of merchandising here not too long ago, and Tim Tebow's jersey is the #1 selling jersey out of all the NFL players right now. So I think a lot of people have that same sentiment for his hard work and dedication. You got another one there, Rainier Beach?
Yeah. Was it difficult to go to school and play football at the same time when you were in college?
Yeah, well, it was challenging. It was more challenging to go to law school while I played professional football. But if there's something that you want to do, you figure out how to get it done. I know that college was very important to me because I didn't expect to play football for a long period of time. And I expect to work for a longer period of time than I played football. So it was important to me that I would graduate and graduate on time, not having to go back to graduate. So I went to summer schools so I can have all of the credits that I needed so I can enjoy playing when I played. So yeah, it was challenging. It was challenging to go to school and play football in college, and it was challenging to play for the Denver Broncos and go to law school in the evenings. But you set aside the time, make a commitment, and you do what you need to do to be successful. So if anybody's willing to make the sacrifices that we all have to make, then we can do them both without any problem. That's an excellent question.
And Mr. Little, what do you say to those students out there that, not everybody's going to go on to a Hall of Fame career. Not everyone, despite all the work in the world, not everyone's going to get an A on the test. What do you say to those folks that encounter those setbacks, even though they feel like they put 110% effort into trying to get an A or make it into the Hall of Fame or the NFL?
Well, you know, I would say to them, it's not the people who has the highest IQ that get ahead. It's the people with the right attitude that will get the raises, that get the promotions, that will make the most money. It's not the person who's the smartest. I wasn't the smartest person in the room. I wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer. But it's that commitment that you have. It's that perseverance that you have. It's that believing in yourself and wanting to be successful and doing whatever you have to do to be successful. It's the making the sacrifices. You talk about the 5 basic ingredients: the drive, determination, dedication, commitment, and sacrifice. These are the things that you need to be the best that you can be. See, Jerry, there's only 3 kinds of people in the world: those that make things happen, those that watch things happen, and those that don't know what happened. You have to decide in your life to be that person to make things happen on a daily basis. And if you do that, you will end up at the end of the day, and it's always been said to me, when that one great mark comes to score against your name, it will count not who won or lost, but how the game was played. And if you play with intensity and you play with the expectations of winning, at the end of the day, let the record speak for itself. So I just say that if you really want to be something and do something, you make every effort every day to be the best that you can be. And at the end of the day, you'll be where you want to be.
Okay, thank you, Rainier Beach. Let's go back to Canyon High School.
Hi.
Hello, my name is Zach Rodriguez, and I hear you talking a lot about what you've learned from success and what you've learned from what you've done, but what all have you learned from losing? I guess that's my question is.
I've learned a lot from winning. What have I learned from losing? I've learned not to lose, because it's painful. It's disappointing. But what happens, what you learn from losing, is that there's something that you need to do better to get on the plus side. I mean, I've lost many games as a Denver Bronco, and I've cried in the locker room because of it. But all I know is if I've done all that I can do to contribute to my team, to contribute to the success of my team, if I have put myself on the line and I've done all I can do, and everybody else failed to do what they need to do, I can't be mad because I've done all I can do. Your call, your charge is to do everything you possibly can do. And if you don't win as a result of it, you win as a team, you lose as a team. But you can know that you will try to do better next time to help someone else. It's all about helping. If you can help somebody else be better, if you can help your team be better, you do that. So what I've learned from losing is I don't like it. And I'll do everything I can the next time to win. That's a good question, though. I've never had that question asked.
Do you have another one, Canyon?
I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to Alvarado.
Sir, my name's Tyler Dixon. I played fullback this year. I just wanted to know that, with all the hard work and the time that it takes to be a winner, what was your motivation to not quit when things got rough or difficult?
Well, I played fullback in high school as well. I think the best athletes in high school are the fullbacks and the middle linebackers. So obviously you are a pretty good athlete. My motivation was to motivate my teammates to be better. A lot of times I've seen a lot of my teammates not really doing all that they can do, and as their captain, I would walk up to them and I wouldn't yell at them, I wouldn't scold them in any way. I would just say to them, I need you. I need for you to step up. I need for you to be better. If we're going to be a good team, if we're going to win, then we need all of us to put forth the effort. My motivation was to motivate my teammates better, and to do better, and to work harder, and to have the honesty and the responsibility and the integrity to stand there and be the best that they can be. And that was my motivation, was to motivate others to be better.
Let's go ahead with another if you have one, Alvarado.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Bill, and I play defensive tackle for Alvarado. All right, what coach was the most that made the biggest impact in your life?
Let me say this. I've had a whole bunch of coaches that I made mention of during the course of my Hall of Fame speech. But there was a couple coaches that had the biggest impact on my life. My coach in military school, which his name was Alvardell, who taught me the basic fundamentals of the game. Always learn the fundamentals and stick to them, because a Band-Aid, as Jack Nicklaus would say, is not a great remedy. And they taught me the fundamentals. A high school coach, Dan Casey, who was a coach that was highly motivated. And he's the one that got me into military school so I can continue my education. But I had two coaches, Alvardell in military school and high school, Dan Casey, that really were people that mentored me, that really helped me to get out of the high school area onto the next level, and then from there on to the next level at college. So I had two coaches in high school and military school that really was my mentors and helped me get through a lot of difficult times in my life.
And Mr. Little, you're talking about honesty, and something that you share quite often in your remarks. What about honesty with yourself? And then kind of what you touched on right now, how important do you think having a strong support system helped you achieve what you've done today, whether it's been your family, your teachers, whatever it might be?
Well, I just think recognizing doing the best that you can to do on a regular basis. And those people that were really inspired me to do that were my coaches and my family. And they would always say, you can do it. When I felt like I couldn't do it anymore, I didn't want to do it anymore, I had people telling me that, yes, you can. It was always, yes, you can. Yes, you can be this. Yes, you can be that. Yes, you can be a good student. Yes, you can be a positive role model. Yes, you can. I know you can. You just have to believe that you can. And I had people constantly telling me, don't ever give up. Don't ever quit. And it becomes second nature to me. Everything I did, I would do the best I can do. Because at the end of the day, I had critics and I had people who say, you didn't do the best that you can do. You weren't the best that you can be today. I mean, we need to work on that. We need to get you back on a positive note and be the best that you can be. So I had people constantly always critiquing me and telling me I can be better. And I wanted to be better. I wanted to be the best that I can be in everything that I did. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to ever say, I wish I had or I should have. Those are two words I would never ever say. I wish I would have done this or I should have done that. I will never say that, because every day I will step up and I will man up and I will do the best that I can every day.
And you guys heard him as he talked about, the strong support system he had and the people that encouraged him. And you heard him earlier make the remark of one of the things we should all do is surround ourselves with positive people. And if he did not have those positive people, if he didn't surround himself, he may have not had that encouragement. So support systems are, and being honest with yourself and knowing you need help and you need to work on things are very important to developing your character. So let's go to Castleberry. Thank you, Alvarado.
What is your favorite memory from football?
What is my favorite memory from football? I tell you what, I think one of my favorite memories is when they honored me in a day called Floyd Little Day at the Mile High Stadium in Denver, where there was a proclamation from the mayor, the governor, and the president of the United States that wrote a proclamation declaring it Floyd Little Day, and everybody in the community donated gifts of money and a car and a boat, and all of that money that I acquired, I donated to the Boys and Girls Clubs, because there are young men and women in these clubs that really don't have that opportunity. So I wanted to include everybody in the community and taking part in Floyd Little Day. So I gave up all of those things so other people who were less fortunate than I was, to have an opportunity to grow, to be somebody, to have a chance to succeed. Because I think it's important that we all, and it's one of the traits is caring and giving, and citizenship is one we don't talk about a lot. But being a good citizen and donating your time and volunteering your time and giving of yourself to those that are less fortunate than you are is very important to me as one of the character traits that I like to think that I have. Of course, my favorite is the trustworthiness is my favorite because it includes integrity, honesty, loyalty, and reliability. These are the things that are important to me. So that was one of the things that I admired as a player when I had a day for me that I was able to donate some things back to my community. That's an excellent question. Thank you.
Another one, Castleberry. Go ahead.
My question is, was football always a career path you wanted to take?
Football, was that the path that I wanted to take? No, I didn't start out being a football player. I was the farthest thing in my mind. Some kid, I was a baseball player, and some guy in the neighborhood got me to playing football, and I happened to be pretty good at it. But no, I went to school to become a lawyer. I went to law school after college, and I went to law school while I played football in the evenings for 4 years. So my goal was to become a lawyer and not a football player. But I happened to enjoy the game, and I had some success at it, so I continued to play. But I retired. I mean, I walked away from the game where most people would like to play. I played 9 seasons. There was a lot more benefit if I played 10. But I had graduated law school, and that wasn't, my purpose. My purpose was to be a lawyer, not a football player. So when I graduated law school, I retired. And if I would have played another year, I would have had a hell of a lot more benefits, and I would have probably had a chance to go to the Super Bowl that the team went to when I left. So obviously I was keeping them from going to the Super Bowl. So the Denver Broncos went to Super Bowl and played the Dallas Cowboys in the 1977 Super Bowl, and I retired the year before that. So, but playing football wasn't as important to me as getting a law degree. So I sacrificed my football career or the opportunity to go to a Super Bowl because I had graduated law school. So my education was more important to me than my football career.
Okay, thank you, Castleberry. And our friends at Nye River and Virginia had to step out. Their class was ending at 2:50, so they had to step out. But we're going to skip over them and go to Rainier Beach High School. If you guys have a couple more questions, go ahead.
Who is your favorite Hall of Famer besides yourself?
That's a great question. Who is my favorite Hall of Famer besides myself? Well, I have to say that there are 2. One is John Mackey. John Mackey was a great tight end for the Baltimore Colts, and he played for Syracuse. And Jim Brown, another Syracuse graduate. So I have to keep it in the family. So I have to say John Mackey and Jim Brown, other than myself, is my favorite Hall of Famers. Now, with that said, I went in with Jerry Rice, and I have not known or met a better person in my life than Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice is not only a great athlete, but he's a quality person. And I've gotten to know Jerry because I'm in his class. And I have all the respect in the world for Jerry Rice because he's a quality individual with great character, and he's a great human being. So Jim Brown, John Mackey, and Jerry Rice.
Go ahead, Rainier, if you have another one.
Behind every good man, there's a good woman. Who was your female motivator?
Well, you're right. Behind every good man is a good woman. And it was my mom who was a lady who really didn't want me to play. And she found out at homecoming that I was playing football. I hid it from her in high school, And when I went to college, we had a homecoming, and my sisters brought my mom to the football game, and she looked out on the field for the first time and saw her son, and she said, "Why is he out there?" And my sister said, "Well, he's playing football." Well, how long has he been playing football? For a lot of years. And I just happened to have one of the best games in college I ever had, scored 5 touchdowns, and my mom said it was okay for me to play because I didn't get hurt. So my mom was my biggest motivator because she had to raise 6 of us by herself. And I had all the respect in the world for my mom. You can only have one mom, and don't have her anymore. And behind every good man is a good woman, and that woman was my mother.
Thank you very much. And we've got about 10 minutes left, so we're going to try and get one question from each group. It'll be the last one from each site, so make it a good one. Let's go back to Canyon. Do you have a last one?
So who do you think's going to win Super Bowl this year?
Well, I'll tell you, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked me that because I got 2 teams that are playing that I really have a lot of admiration and respect for. I think, and I truly believe, and I picked these teams a long time ago, that Green Bay is playing just outstanding football. I think they'll beat the Bears because they are playing really, really well. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, I know a lot of the Jet fans out there, but the Pittsburgh Steelers is a team that understands teamwork. They're a team that play together. They're a team that don't talk about it. They just go out there and perform. They have great players defensively. They've only allowed one team to go over 100 yards against them rushing this year. The Jets really are relying on their running game, and I think Pittsburgh's going to stop the runners this week. And I think Pittsburgh will go to the Super Bowl and play the Green Bay Packers, and I think the Green Bay Packers will be victorious. They're playing well.
I'm glad you said that, Mr. Little, because there's no Northeastern Ohio schools here, so I can say it. I'm one of those hated Northeastern Ohio Steeler fans, so I'm going to the game on Sunday, so I hope it comes true.
Yeah, well, I think they have a great chance of winning.
Thank you, Canyon. Let's go to Alvarado for a last question.
I'm CJ Johnson. I play outside linebacker, and I wanted to know what the sacrifices that you made to play football were.
Okay, I'll tell you that. I had to make a lot of sacrifices. Some of the sacrifices I made, I had to say no to those that would lead me in the wrong direction. I had to say that I am the captain of my ship and I am in control of its rudder. I had to tell those naysayers that I will achieve any and all obstacles that's placed before me because I choose to choose for me. When you choose to choose for yourself and you're not influenced by those people that will lead you astray or lead you in the wrong direction, you are able to take that road that is less traveled. And it's not a popular word to take, but you have to learn to say, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to be influenced by that. I have a destiny for me, and it's not hanging out with the boys. That's the sacrifice you have to make, not to hang out with the boys, not to be negatively influenced, but to surround yourself with positive people that's always going in the right direction, that's always trying to be better for yourself and do better for yourself. That's the sacrifice that you have to make. When you recognize that you can't hang with those people that are negative, that are the naysayers, that's when you grow. That's when you become that individual that sets the standards, that follows your own path, that becomes successful. You will, if you take that road that is less traveled, you will make it. And you said you're an outside linebacker, you will achieve huge success in your life when you say no to those negative people that's trying to influence you in the wrong direction, and those naysayers and those people that don't have your best interest at heart. I believe that if you follow that, if you do that, and you become the leader and not the follower, you will succeed. I guarantee it.
Thank you.
I think it's important to note, Mr. Little was a student just like you guys. He faced pressures at getting grades. He faced pressures in football. He faced pressures with his peers. and you've heard him repeat this, I don't know, maybe 10 times throughout this program now, is surrounding yourself with positive people. And so, just want you guys to realize that he was just like you and I at one point. And it's because he surrounded himself with those positive people, and he had this unparalleled work ethic that allowed him to achieve not only greatness on the field, but greatness off the field. So I think it's important to note that it's just like you and I. The old saying, you put your pant leg on one leg at a time. He puts his pant leg on one leg at a time, just like the rest of us. So again, important to note that. Let's go to Castleberry. Do you have a last question there?
Was it true you turned 47 scholarships down, and if so, why?
Well, that's a really, really good question. I have 47 scholarships, and let me say this, which I really, really like to say, is you don't remember one of the great generals of our Army, and that was General MacArthur recruited me. I went to military school, and I was recruited by General MacArthur, who was a great general back in the early World War II. And I was heading to Army. I had gone up there, I visited, I broke every record that Doc Blanchard and Glenn Davis had set. So I was going to Army, and I was committed to go to Army. And then I got the visit by Ernie Davis. I don't know if you saw the movie The Express, but it was about Jim Brown recruiting Ernie Davis and Ernie Davis recruiting me. Well, Ernie, not like the movie, Ernie came to my house, and he met my mom and my sisters, and we went out to dinner that evening. And I had ordered, for the first time in my life, steak and lobster. And Ernie and I left the table to go in the men's room to have some dialogue. And I kept watching my watch, and it was like a half hour, and I thought my steak and lobster was getting cold. So I looked at Ernie and says, okay, I'm going to Syracuse, let's go eat. And we went to eat, and 3 months later, Ernie Davis died of leukemia, and I never knew he was sick. But one thing that I have, nothing more valuable than my word, I gave Ernie Davis my word that I would go to Syracuse. And because Ernie Davis died, I went to Syracuse, and that was probably one of the best decisions I made. But the other 47 scholarships to Notre Dame and the Army and to the Air Force Academy and to Purdue and Oklahoma, they were all athletic scholarships. Syracuse offered me an academic scholarship. I had a choice of going to school on an academic scholarship and an athletic scholarship. And one of the other reasons I went to Syracuse because it was an academic scholarship. So if I went to Syracuse and I didn't play football and I maintained a C+ average, I could stay at school and not have to worry about it. So that's important. That was important to me, is to be able to go to college and stay in college even if I couldn't play for their football team, but I could still go. So if you ever have the option of going to school on an academic scholarship or an athletic scholarship, please choose an academic scholarship, because now you have all your options before you, and you can make that decision if you want to. So, but that's a good question. I had 47 scholarships. You're right. And I chose Syracuse because of Ernie and because it was an academic scholarship. But that's an excellent question, the best question today. Thank you.
Okay, let's go. And let me make mention there. You heard him earlier talk about, he wasn't the smartest, and I'll use his quote again. He wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer, but then you heard him say he got an academic scholarship. So obviously he overcame maybe a barrier that was in his life, and I guarantee you, though, his way he overcame that was through hard work, was through perseverance, was through dedication. Was through honesty with himself and with others. So again, it just shows, if you have that work ethic, you have those core characters, you can overcome just about anything, if not anything. So great question. Let's go. How fitting, the last question of the program for today and our great conversations we've had with Mr. Little. We're going to end it with Rainier Beach High School and make it a good one. It's the last one.
Which of your trials was the toughest to overcome?
Which of my trials?
Yes.
Was the hardest to overcome?
Yes.
Well, that's a really good question. I think not being really, really smart having to work really, really hard because I was a C student, a D student, and having not the background or the foundation to learn to be a better student made me work harder because I didn't have the foundation that a lot of my students around me had, my fellow students had. So I think for me, it was learning to read and write and to articulate and have the confidence to stand before people and look them in the eye and never look down, always facing people at eye level, showing them the respect and demanding and commanding the respect from them. So the hardest thing for me was learning. Learning did not come easy. It was a challenge. I had to study twice as long as anybody else. Had to work twice as hard as anybody else to get a C. But what helped me was my attitude. I had the greatest attitude in the world. I had the most positive attitude that I can have. And as a result, I learned that it's not always the people with the highest IQ that get ahead. It's the person with the best attitude that will get to the top just as fast as the person with the high IQ. So I had to overcome a learning disability that I struggled with. But I was able to finish school. I was able to go to college on an academic scholarship. I was able to get into law school. I was able to graduate law school. So that didn't hinder me in any way. So I was able to get through. That's a great question. Thank you.
And Mr. Little, the program's coming to a close. Are there any other closing thoughts or anything that you might not have talked about that you'd like to share? Feel free to.
Well, there's an awful lot of things. I think your attitude is one of the most important things that you have. That's the only thing that you have complete control over. So, like I told the kids earlier today, that every morning when you wake up, before you get up, give yourself a checkup from the neck up. And always start your day with a positive attitude, because your attitude can help you stay focused when you're faced with challenging and difficult decisions. If you have a positive attitude about the decisions that you'll be making, they will typically be good decisions that you make. So always keep a positive attitude and always be willing to do all that you can do to be the best that you can be.
Well, Mr. Little, on behalf of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and our Executive Director, Steve Perry, and all of our other executive staff and the rest of the staff here, I want to say thank you from us for taking time out of your day, your busy day. Even though you are retired, you're still very busy in your retirement. So we appreciate you doing this, traveling up a little ways to do this. So we want to say thank you for that.
Thank you, Jerry. It's a pleasure. It's an honor. And I'm a Hall of Famer now, so you can count on me anytime you need me.
Great. We appreciate that. And of all the schools, if you can unmute your mics for the time being, and please join me in giving a round of applause for Floyd Little today.